Hey guys, Diponic here, and I'm coming at you with a very special, well, whatever this is, but I have managed to nail a interview with a very special somebody. Some of you may know him, some of you probably don't, but allow me to introduce him. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Lightning Bolt Forever.
Hello, hello. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me and yeah, this is awesome. Thanks for bringing me along.
Yes, well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you again for agreeing to do this, and I realize you're busy, so I'm just glad that I was able to do this with you. And I'm a big fan of your work. So, in fact, your work has actually kind of inspired me a little bit to do what the content I do now. Actually, believe it or not. Um, but yeah. So, you ready to get started?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. So, my first question, just to start us off, is what inspired you to become a YouTuber?
So it kind of was a it was kind of an ongoing thing of me just watching back in there was a period from probably mid 2009 to late 2011 where all I did was I was binge watching a ton of YouTubers who were really big, some of the big names in gaming and let's playing at that time. It was kind of before a lot of gaming channels with tens of millions of subscribers really even got started. Like way before, I think guys like Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. I was watching a lot of Chugga Conroy and Nintendo Capri Sun play a lot of Nintendo games, and I remember one of the first ones that I one of the first sets of videos that I really took to was Chugga Conroy's Super Mario Galaxy, or he played Super Luigi Galaxy, his Let's Play there, and because that was one of the first games I recognized because I had just gotten a Wii maybe a year or so before and started playing Super Mario Galaxy, and I thought, oh well, that's pretty cool. I might as well watch along with him and see what he has to say about the game and everything, and I just kind of followed his. I was just really fascinated at how much he knew about the game and was just really impressed with the research he had done. The guy was I mean, even now, because he's still making videos, he just has such a vast wealth of knowledge about whatever game it is he's playing that it was really fascinating to hear all that stuff as, at the time, in 2010, like a 13, 14-year-old, teenager pretty much, and just really enjoying it. And then Nintendo Capri Sun, the same deal with him. He was playing a lot of games that I had grown up with or were just starting to play on the Wii Virtual Console, a lot of those older Nintendo titles. And his style was a little bit different. He had more of a I don't want to say down to earth because they both are very relatable, but he had this way of relating his personal life experiences to the game that he was playing, and he had a lot more moments like that in his videos than Chugga Conroy did. The not that Chugga Conroy didn't have those moments, but it was cool to see how different their video styles were. And then I think what finally kind of cemented it for me was watching Ultima Mantoid's early Let's Plays of Doom and Duke Nukem 3D and some of the those early Mega Man games, and seeing how much he knew about all of those games and completing them to 100%. And it eventually occurred to me, I thought, oh, well, I could do something like that. I like playing video games, and I mean, it looks really fun. So I went ahead and read up a little bit on how to start a YouTube channel, and I eventually did at the end of 2011 there. I think it was like on one of the last few days there of the year in December there, and it's been all downhill ever since. No, I'm just kidding. It's been awesome.
Okay, so what was the first game you ever made videos on, and do you remember doing that?
Yes, I do. The first game I ever made videos on was the original Prince of Persia for it was the DOS, it was like the side-scrolling 2D DOS platformer
Oh
from
God, I am
yeah,
so
from
old.
from from I think either 1989 or 1990. It was one of the first games that I think it was one of the first games that I ever played, but also one of the first games that I ever knew about because I remember I think watching my dad play it when I was maybe 4 or 5 years old and sitting next to him in his office here at home and watching him just make all these crazy jumps over these death pits and jump over spikes and through the chopper plates and fighting just skeletons and guards and just it was really it was so cool to watch that from a, just from a kid's perspective and seeing how it just seemed like it was the most important thing like in the world, like just watching him play this game. And eventually I started playing it and wasn't very good at it, but over the years I just played it so much that I figured that would be the greatest one to start with, or the best game to start with, because it was a way for me also. It was a simple enough game to where I could say some things about it and also kind of focus on or maybe I guess test the waters would be a better phrase about how I wanted to do videos and what my commentary style was going to be and experiment with different recorders and editors. And I must have gone through maybe combined, I must have gone through around like 200 programs in those first few years, just trying to see what worked best. Well, maybe not that many, but there was a lot of different recording and editing software tools that I had gone through just to figure out what worked. So I guess that was kind of a long-winded way of saying Prince of Persia was the first one.
Yeah. So okay, what kind of challenges, if you've had any, have you actually faced being a YouTuber?
I think the biggest challenge has been trying to, I think, trying to not get in my own head. I think it's very easy depending on, what the kind of content you produce, if especially if you're well, especially for me, like if I'm doing commentary in a video, which is 99% of the time, I I tend to overthink about what it is I'm going to say. I'll have some notes with me, kind of sitting on my desk as I record a video or any given level for a game, and have some points that I want to make, but also I'll look back on that video I just recorded later on and say, oh well, should I have said this there, or should I just left that part out, or so I think that's the biggest thing, is just trying to make each video I do interesting enough to where someone's not only going to want to click on it, but also stick with it and watch it all the way through. And maybe if there's something that they didn't know about the game, they were able to learn something and find a way that to maybe relate it to them. So that's it's probably been the biggest challenge, is really having something to say and making it relatable. That, and probably just marketing the channel in general. But that's more of a that's more of an external thing that I don't really. I think that part gets easier, the marketing part, just with how much knowledge and information I can look up on on the internet about marketing a YouTube channel. So those would probably be the two biggest things.
Okay. I You talked about this before, but what was the first game you ever played as a kid? Was it Prince of Persia, or was it a completely different game?
See, I can't remember. I want to say it was Prince of Persia. Like I know I said a few minutes ago it was Prince of Persia, but I'm also, now that I'm thinking about it again, I want to say it was either that one or Wolfenstein 3D, the original one, but I can't say for sure. It's really, gosh, it was so long ago. I want to say Prince of Persia, tentatively. I don't know. Maybe my dad would know. All the games I played early on there were ones that he played, so maybe he would remember seeing me playing something for the first time. But yeah, I think for all intents and purposes, Prince would probably be the one.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so of the series of videos you've done so far, what was the one that you had the most fun making?
Oh, that's a good one. I think my favorite, I think my favorite to date has probably been the Let's Play for Blood. I don't know why. I think everything about that particular series just seemed to it just seemed to fall in place. Like I was able to I just there was a lot of information on the game out there despite being a more obscure game than say something like Duke Nukem 3D or Shadow Warrior. And it's just a fun game to play in general. I still regard it as my favorite first person shooter that I've ever played. And that's even after playing most of the Jedi Knight series too. So it's been it was really fun to play. I think there was just so much information that was out there but didn't really it wasn't that well known. It was easily discoverable, but I think being able to talk about that game more in depth in those videos and sort of bring all that information to YouTube as opposed to, if someone really wanted to know the backstory of the game, they'd have to go look up on like a wiki page or something like that. I think bringing that information sort of out into the spotlight there was also really fun. And even the whole editing process was not it didn't feel grueling at all. It definitely felt like I was putting something worthwhile together, and that's probably the I'm probably most proud of that series that I've done on the channel.
Okay, so for the next question, do you have a quality versus quantity or a quantity versus quality mentality when you make your videos?
I think in the beginning I think in the beginning it was quantity. And of course that was really YouTube kind of emphasized before YouTube emphasized quality over quantity, because I've just figured, oh well, the more videos I churn out in a month or 2 months, maybe the more likely people are to notice my channel. But of course that was before YouTube had gone through another 4 additional designs of its homepage. So that was it's definitely changed now. And even on a more personal level for me, I'm definitely more quality over quantity now. I'd like to start producing videos that are maybe kind of make the audience think a little bit more, maybe make some more longer form videos, fewer and farther between, that are substantial, that they have something to say, and it's not just another episode of this one game that I've been playing for however many months type of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I kind of have that mentality as well. Okay, so is there a genre of game that you do not want to make videos on at all? And if so, which genre do you usually try to avoid?
I oh my god. I immediately start thinking of it's I don't know, at the risk of maybe pissing off some strategy game fans. I have to go with strategy games. I've never really been too into games like that. Maybe that kind of that are maybe more slowly moving, make you kind of think like in a turn-based type of system. I've always been more of a more of a first-person shooter and also sort of like a platformer kind of guy myself. Things that are games that are more fast-paced generally interest me more, and I've never really had a huge affinity for strategy games. I Some of my friends a long time ago, back when we were in college, they tried to get me to play Sid Meier's Civilization 5. Not even just for the channel, but just to play it. But I could never get into it. I don't know why. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure if it's because I can't I can't get on that same wavelength as them, mentally when it comes to games like that. But yeah, strategy games have never really been huge with me. So I'd probably say that genre. Not that I'm anti-strategy game, but they've just never really, I guess, hooked me like a lot of other genres have.
Okay. So is there a series of game that you are actually interested in making, and is that going to be a potentially future project that you're going to be working on?
Yeah, I would like to do a series on Dusk. I bought it a couple of years ago and have still never played it. I always tend to kind of be behind the curve when it comes to new video game releases. I think I'm more interested in I've slowly become more interested in how games were made and what developers were thinking and kind of their thought process at the time of the game's design. And so so I think that's what attracts me to a lot of older titles like that, that have had time to be discussed over the years. But I would say Dusk probably is one of them, and another one I'd also like to do is I'd like to get into some more Star Wars games. I think I've gotten a couple of requests to do Shadows of the Empire, which I've heard is pretty good, and also maybe just some more like community made projects, like maybe not so much official games, but maybe more so mods and maybe some ROM hacks of Super Mario World, like that type of stuff, and talk more about what the thought process was behind the developer's motivations for doing those kinds of things. And definitely, I know I'm kind of rambling here, but uh, definitely I'd also like to do a series on Subnautica and Super Mario Galaxy 2, since those are probably my two favorite games of all time. But those will probably come at a much later time.
Yeah, that's I do like those games quite a bit actually. Okay, so
Mm.
do you think that video game to movie adaptations have the potential to be good?
They I think they do. I think they do. It's a different. I think it's a different kind of challenge when trying to create a movie adaptation for a game, and I think that's. I'm not sure what it is, but whatever it is, I think that's why most movie adaptations of games haven't been that good. Of course, I am looking forward to the Super Mario movie coming out soon. I think it's coming out soon at some point. I remember seeing some trailer footage of it a while back, and it looked really good. I am interested in going to see it. But I think the reason, well, I don't know the reason, but behind why past video game adaptations weren't that good, but I will just say that I'm sure they're going to get it right at some point, Hollywood. so I think there's hope for the film, like video game to film subgenre there.
Okay, so is there a movie that you saw, recent or not, in theaters or at home that you enjoyed like immensely?
Yeah, I really liked Top Gun Maverick. It
Yes,
was
I
yeah.
knew. Yeah, I love that movie too. Oh my gosh.
it was it was it was great. I don't know how else to put it. I think I appreciated it, and maybe a lot of, I mean, maybe that's why it did so well at the box office too. I can't speak for other people, but for me, it was just, for me, it was just a great, it was like a nice feel good movie, and it was just different. It wasn't, I mean, and of course it was already based on a previous intellectual property, but I think it was one of those things that, because it wasn't another superhero movie or another, I don't know, kind of over cliched horror movie or something like that. It was just different, and it felt like it actually made you, it invest in the emotions of the characters and everything. And I mean, that's all I need in a movie. It's just like a good plot, good characters, and and that's it really. So I think that was one of the, I think that's why I liked it so much. And I know it's going on a year old at this point, probably almost a year old, but yeah, man, it was great. It's probably been my favorite so far
Have
for
you
the
seen
past
the
year.
Have you seen the original film?
I've seen clips of it. I haven't seen it all the way through though. I need to go back and watch it actually. Now that we're talking about it here, I
Yeah.
ought to just throw it on TV soon.
Okay, so are you strictly a PC game YouTuber, or have you dabbled into console games, making console content?
I've made Most of my content I've made has been on PC, probably about 85 to 90% of it. And then I've done a couple of games on the Wii. That's probably the greatest extent of videos on console games that I've done. But I'd say primarily, yeah, I'm PC, but not strictly just that though.
Okay. Um, is there a video game level from all the games you played over the years that absolutely frustrates you?
Oh, one of them that immediately comes to mind is the it's the there's a level in Star Wars The Force Unleashed where, and it's not even it almost feels unfair to label the whole level like this, but I'm just going to say it anyway because it is a long level to complete. It's um, the Imperial Raxus Prime level, kind of in the later latter half of the game, that you have to go through about 35 minutes worth of just slaughtering endless waves of stormtroopers, and then you have to, spoiler warning for anyone who's never played Force Unleashed before, you have to, you know, fight your way through all the troopers, which is like will take you like at least over a half hour, and then you have to fight. Then you have to do a boss fight, which there's two phases to it, and the second phase is just strangely needlessly hard. And then the last part of the level, like after you do all that, there's still one more part of the level where you have to bring down that that silly star destroyer out of the sky and pull it
Yes.
into the junkyard. And oh my god, it's I remember thinking I remember thinking they can't make the player do that, can they? Like it's are they like this is the first time I'd ever played like the Ultimate Sith edition on the PC, because the Wii version didn't have that. The
It
Wii
had the
version,
cutscene. It had the
yeah,
cutscene, yeah.
Starkiller was able to just do it on his own and bring it down in the cutscene, but you have to do it in game in all other versions of the Force Unleashed. And I must have spent maybe I probably spent a good 45 minutes on just that one part alone, even after finishing everything up on my first time playing that game. And I remember being kind of nervous for the video when I recorded that, thinking like, oh my god, how long is this going to take? I'm gonna have to edit out an hour's worth of footage of me just failing here at this thing. But I would say that's probably been the most frustrating one. But
I know you talked about the Death Star level where you had to fight Vader. That one you said was pretty hard too.
Yeah, that one was pretty difficult. Also, I don't think that fight I don't think was as bad as the Raxus Prime fight with Proxy, but if you if you pick the dark side ending on in the Death Star level and fight Vader again, you have to just I mean, it's weird. That is the hardest fight of the game because he's just so it's weird. It's like you knock all of his armor off and suddenly he's like, "Oh, I guess I should take this seriously now." And he all of a sudden just basically just unleashes the whole, gauntlet of dark side powers on you and just can, pick you off quick. But that's probably yeah, even so, I don't consider that nearly as frustrating as the Star Destroyer part there, but definitely a good challenge.
Okay, so next question: do you have a secret to making your videos?
I don't think I have any kind of secret. I think if anything, maybe what I do as far as editing my videos goes is that I really when I particularly when I go to edit audio, I'm a lot more conscious now of moments in the game that I'm playing that I think should be kind of highlighted or like if there's for instance if there's a really cool like music track playing in the game or a really cool sound effect that I think it would be best for me not to talk over, I'll usually try and emphasize that during editing by really just trying to make that sound heard, like just try and like amplify the sound and everything. I don't really, I mean, I wouldn't really consider that a secret though. That's kind of, that's more of a, more just like a basic thing that I do. But I think, I think if anything, I probably try to just research as much as I can before I start commentating because that way it sounds like there's that way the video has some substance to it and it's not a generic playthrough video where I'm not really saying anything. I'm actually talking a little bit about how maybe like that particular level was made or what kind of what kind of things and again going back to like the developer like a developer's motivations for making that level or how they made it or even just history about the in-game lore itself. I always try to be pretty well prepared there when the time comes in the video to talk about that kind of stuff.
Okay, so this is a double whammy for you. But is there a franchise that you are a big fan of, and are you a lore person in terms of that specific franchise?
Hmm. I would, yeah, I'm really, I I gotta go with Doom there. It's probably been I've been playing that those games for so long that I kind of it's really weird. I feel like in a way, even though I've never met anyone in the community on a personal level or face to face or anything like that, it's I've learned so much about map design and speed running and the development process and how to and just source ports and things like that and mods and all that kind of stuff that it feels like I don't know what it would be. I don't know how it would be I don't know what my channel would have been like without it. It was just such a huge part of the channel's growth. So I definitely have to say Doom and there and yeah, I mean in terms of the lore for it, I mean there's not a whole lot of story to Doom anyway. You just go in, fight monsters and all in a day's work. But yeah, I would say I'm really interested in sort of the behind the scenes of the community and just community made map creations and things like that.
Okay. Okay, so Are you friends with any like major YouTubers or any big YouTubers? Or you do you and do you have like a small community of friends that you usually go to for like ideas?
Regrettably, I don't really. I think that's one of the things that I definitely want to improve on this year, and is just collaborating with others who are kind of in the who do the same, who do similar things to what I do on my channel. I'm not I'm definitely I've never met any like huge YouTubers like, with hundreds of thousands or even millions of subscribers or anything like that. But I have I've been pretty fortunate to know a lot of good people who are not just subscribed to like my channel, but who again just do who make like very similar, who have like similar styles of content and play similar games and things like that. I one of the earliest one of the earliest I guess one of the earliest people I met who is still making videos now is Big Mac Davis, and I remember he was one of my first subscribers, one of the first people to comment on one of my videos, and he was, yeah, really just there since damn near the beginning. And we've never met in real life, but I consider him, I consider him a friend in the sense that, we've definitely still kept in touch like through YouTube, all this time. And I remember, back when I had a Twitter account for 10 minutes, we would just kind of catch up on there. I just message each other about stuff and things like that. But yeah, I would say he's probably been the biggest name that I've had the privilege of meeting. So yeah, and on that note, I definitely would like to do more collaborations just in the future. At, it's still only January now. I definitely would like to do more videos with other YouTubers, and just talk to guys like how you and I are doing here, and just really just get more into that community, so into that gaming community. So yeah, it's definitely a goal of mine up ahead here.
Okay. So, if you could live in any franchise world, which would it be, and what would you want to be in that world?
Oh wow. Oh, that's tough. There's so many good ones. I My mind immediately defaulted to Star Wars, but I don't know what I would be. I don't think I would probably say Star Wars, but I don't think I would be a Jedi. I think they take things way too seriously. No, I think if I was in the Star Wars universe, I would probably want to do hmm, I'm not sure actually. I'd probably like to be maybe like one of those like a Han Solo type, like one of the space cowboys who's just kind of doing his own thing. And yeah, he's smuggling cargo and has bounty hunters on his back. Maybe I wouldn't get so much into that part of it, but I definitely would do something. I mean, that would be really cool to be just kind of the sort of like one of those outlaw types out in space, just flying around in your own ship and going from mission to mission across the galaxy, and not really thinking about what's up ahead too terribly much. But yeah, that's probably what I would say for that. And just not taking anything too seriously there in within the Star Wars universe, and how I would go about my days.
And would you want to have a Wookiee at your side, or would you prefer some a different species?
No, Wookiee would be perfect. He was, if he's over, it's a 7 foot tall gargantuan bodyguard. I mean, just what's not to love, with a sense of humor at that.
Yeah, if you can understand what he's saying.
That's true.
All right, so is there a game that you absolutely do not like in any capacity, like you refuse to play it whatsoever?
I don't think there's any game I've outright refused to play. There there are games that I haven't done on the channel because it just wouldn't really make for the most cohesive series. But that's more so just given the game's genre as opposed to how good it is. I've um Knights of the Old Republic kind of comes to mind for that. I've thought about doing a full series of that game, but I think it would be very difficult just given the sheer length of the game and how many different ways there are to finish it. I mean, I think even in a series of maybe God like 100 videos, I still wouldn't be able to say everything that has been said about that game anyway. So there are games like that, but in terms of just like what I've refused to play, I can't actively think of anything. Hmm. I think if I had to pick one, it would probably be the Call of Duty franchise. But that's only because it's just mainstream popular, and I'm just like I always I'm more of a classic games guy myself. So it's not really out of a hatred for Call of Duty. It's just more of a thing of like, oh well, you know, everybody's playing that. Well, what's this more obscure thing over here? That's what interests me.
Would you ever consider doing a video or a series on the Call of Duty campaigns rather than the multiplayer?
I never have, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's possible. I think I wouldn't know the first thing about I don't know the first thing about a Call of Duty game, but I don't know. Maybe if I did some research on it and kind of just sort of figured out what it was about, maybe. I never rule anything out, but yeah, yeah, maybe. Oh, and also I just remembered back to your previous question there about a game like I like wouldn't play in any capacity. I definitely wouldn't because it just came to mind. I definitely wouldn't play something like you know Fortnite or one of or Apex or one of the battle royale games. I think those have been kind of kind of been done to death. But I've played them in the past, but I think to myself now I'm like, nah, I wouldn't play those again.
Ah, okay. Okay, so when you upload content, is your focus on views, likes, comments, and new subscribers, or is your focus on none of those things?
I think when I was starting out, it used to be subscribers. I considered that kind of the most important part of of building the channel, and it is still these days. But I think I was only uploading videos, and again, going back to kind of the discussion we had a little bit ago about quantity versus quality, I think I uploaded a lot of videos there in the beginning just for the sake of just trying to have just any kind of number of subscribers, no matter how many it was, just for my own, I guess maybe selfish personal satisfaction that I knew that somebody was watching the channel because it took me a long time to get even my first 100 subscribers. It took me probably a good two and a half years before I hit 100 subs. But I think nowadays, I think nowadays want to, I want to have more, I want to see like more discussions in the comment sections of my videos, which is why I'd like to kind of start changing up what types of content I do and make it more of an open-ended discussion and get people talking because I feel like at this point there's only so many things you can say about a game that's already been played a whole bunch of times for YouTube and you know in a 100% type of series. But yeah, and I think that's why I'd kind of like to change up maybe my commentary style a little bit, maybe my video style, and just to get people talking more and just interacting more and talking about games they love and maybe games that they don't like as much but are willing to try and just things like that. So probably in a in a more concise answer, I'd say probably just getting starting a good amount, starting a healthy discussion in the comments.
Okay, so forgive my voice here. You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
I'm glad we could have this moment.
Yeah.
Very, very good, very good impression of the Death Sticks guy there, I must say. So props to you for that.
You actually, believe it or not, his name is Sleaze Bago.
Slit. Oh my God. Who? That that couldn't have been a George Lucas creation, is it? Like that? I mean, I know the character was, but not the name. I mean, oh my God. Who comes up with these names anyway?
Same
Sleaze
person
Bago.
who decided, hey, let's build two. Our first Death Star got blown up. What's the solution to that? Fix that problem. Build another one.
Oh, that pesky Death Star, man. It's like a housefly. It just never goes away.
Yeah. Okay. So going like I think you mentioned brought this up before, but uh, do you have a favorite video game genre that you like to play and do videos on?
I really like. I'd probably say first person shooter would be my would be my favorite. But I really enjoy the. I mean, and I love platformers too, which is why I love doing like the games like Mario Galaxy, Donkey Kong Country, things like that. But I'm really in the last few years I've really come to enjoy those like open world exploration type of SPSs, and that's why Subnautica I think has become such a favorite game of mine in the last few years because it kind of captures all of that. You're playing from the point of view of the lone survivor on the planet, and it's you basically have to do everything there is to do in order to beat the game. I mean, the game only you don't win the game until you've explored just enough. And I like the fact that it uses terror as kind of the the antidote to the player's motivation of exploring more because it's you've got to explore damn near most of the planet in order to finally get off the planet. And so I appreciate kind of that they're I appreciate the developers of that game. They're toying with like human fears and motivations there. It's a great game.
All we need is the Jaws theme, and then you're golden.
Exactly. Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. So final question: what advice would you give to any new YouTubers or ones that are already established who are struggling to compete and get the exposure that they need or they want to in order to get to grow?
That is that's a great question. And I guess I guess as a disclaimer, firstly, I want to say that I have I have been on YouTube for a long time, and yet at the same time I think that even so that's still some that I'm still trying to learn the answer to that question because there are I still think there's a lot of potential for the channel to grow, and maybe the methods I took in the beginning to try and grow the channel maybe weren't the most effective. And so I guess this just I guess I just wanted to lay that on the table first. I just because I don't claim to be any kind of YouTube expert or anything like that, but what I've learned is that it definitely helps to leave, and I mean this goes for whatever kind of whatever kind of content you want to do, is leave as many comments on different videos as you can, and not, and of course, like, not in a spammy way trying to promote yourself or anything, but just leaving something leaving something kind of funny or witty on a video that either relates to the content you want to make, or maybe is maybe doesn't relate to it at all, but still kind of falls within that same still is in that same wheelhouse. I would say leaving comments on videos is a great thing to get your channel name out there, and and just finding people to collaborate with and promoting that. I There was something else I had in mind too. I just had it on the tip of my tongue, and now I think I've just forgotten it.
Back in my day, we didn't have any fancy schmancy things like analytics.
I know, oh man, I know. We just uploaded videos for the fun of it. That was back when YouTube was honest. No, I no, I would say also get to know how the YouTube algorithm works. Like, understand what kind of tags to use in videos. And that's as easy as going into the search bar and just typing out, the topic of video you want to make and what other words are associated with it. And I would just say, like, do that, and eventually once you're able to start, creating once you're able to start creating your own thumbnails, because I don't know if YouTube still limits you from doing that after you've just created a new channel, but yeah, make a thumbnail that's, just visually appealing and easy to read also. There's I've seen a lot of videos out there where people will use a font that is just totally unreadable, and it's really just, you want to have something that's easy to read, something that is, kind of, if you do type text into a YouTube thumbnail, make it, kind of like a summation of the video's title itself, and something eye-catching, something colorful. And I think those would kind of be the basic things, but definitely the most important thing is to just get out there and try and connect with other YouTubers just to see what they're doing, and yeah, and make a video together, just see how it goes, and then advertise about it, just kind of post it on whatever kind of social media you have, or whatever, through whatever kind of platform you can. I hope those weren't too generic. I guess it just goes back to the whole thing of self-marketing, but I would say probably that's the the big things, some of the practical things.
Well, as Master Yoda once said, do or do not. There is no try.
And the last thing you want to hear after going through all of that, of even if you think that, like, your YouTube channel isn't doing well, is you don't want to hear that is why you fail.
Oh my
we're trying to
god.
stay we're trying to stay away from that.
That was a really good Yoda impression. Oh my
But thanks.
god. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Lightning, for for agreeing to do this, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And thank you very much for this interview and this opportunity. And hopefully your channel does well, and hopefully, like, you get more followers and all that. And I hope maybe possibly we can collaborate in the future on a project or something.
Yeah, man, likewise. I mean, same for your channel, and I definitely hope for the same thing. I really would, I really would love that. So yeah, thank you very much for having me on. This was fun. I'm glad we were able to do this.
Yeah,
But
the same way. Have you've done a face reveal, right?
I've done a face reveal.
Okay. Okay, so thank you very much, and thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys next time, whenever that may be. Hopefully when the winter's over, which in Canada lasts forever.
Hmm.
Anyway, see you guys later.